Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Hindu Economic Forum. Necessity is the mother of invention, and essentially means when put in difficult situation, one is likely to be inspired to create a novel or ingenious solution that will help in survival. In today's real world situation, we are dealing with a pandemic. We are under a lockdown, and it has thrown open many systematic loopholes and may need many new innovations that will benefit mankind. Our today's topic deals with it, and it is titled Innovation Opportunities for Indian Companies Post COVID 19. Today's webinar will be anchored by Shri Shailesh Trivedi ji. Shailesh Trivedi ji is the CEO and Managing Director of IET Mantra Intellect Private Limited, based out of Mumbai, and is a postgraduate in Marketing Management from Mumbai University. Has 30 years of experience in office automation and the IT industry. He is also the Joint Secretary of HCI Mumbai. Over to you, Shailesh ji. Thank you.
Thank you, Malhotra ji. Supreme Namaskar to all the viewers. It's an honor to be introducing a towering and successful personality like Dr. Abhay Jere. Thank you, Ravi ji, for giving me this opportunity. Dr. Abhay Jere is currently the Innovation Officer for Ministry of HRD, Government of Bharat. Before joining Ministry, Dr. Jere was Chief Scientist, Life Sciences and R&D for Persistent Systems Limited. Dr. Abhay Jere is very passionate about building vibrant innovation ecosystem, especially in higher education institutions, and he has organized many many innovation initiatives at national and local levels to identify and connect innovations and innovators with mentors and investors. He is also the brain and driving force behind annual initiatives like Smart Bharat Hackathon, which has now evolved as world's biggest open innovation model with participation from large number of central ministries, state governments, thousands of education institutions, lakhs of students and hundreds of industries. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has personally applauded this initiative multiple times. Smart Bharat Hackathon has helped kickstart the hackathon culture in Bharat. Last year, Honorable Prime Minister even proposed PM of Singapore to organize a joint hackathon, which was executed by Dr. Abhay Jere and his team. To transform Bharati education, we need to shift the culture in our education institutions from marks or grade based approach to creativity, ideation, and innovation based approach. To enable this cultural shift and for guiding and handholding education institutions for establishing innovation ecosystem, Dr. Abhay conceptualized a very innovative methodology, IIC, that is Institutions Innovation Councils. Currently, IIC has been established in more than 1,500 institutions and working closely under guidance of Dr. Abhay. Recently, Dr. Abhay has conceptualized training program to convert 5,000 college faculties from across India into innovation ambassadors. Dr. Jere is very active scientist and has rich international research experience having worked in US, Japan and Europe. He is the main brain behind Human Atlas initiative called Manav and is currently its national coordinator. Project Manav is about building a comprehensive macro level to micro level map of human body. Dr. Abhay has published more than 20 research papers in very prestigious international journals and contributed to multiple book chapters. He completed his PhD from National AIDS Research Institute, that is NARI, Pune, and was part of India's HIV vaccine team. He also worked as postdoctoral scientist at National Cancer Institute (NIC), National Institute of Health (NIH), USA before coming back to India. Before I hand it over to Dr. Abhay Jere, just want to remind all the viewers that we have a question and answer section on the left hand side of your screen. Please use that to broadcast your questions. We will take few of those questions with Dr. Abhay at the end of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming very talented, dynamic, and passionate Dr. Abhay Jere. Dr. Abhay Jere, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Malhotra ji. Thank you, Mishra ji, Trivedi ji. I'm really thankful to World Hindu Economic Forum giving me this opportunity, inviting me to this prestigious forum to discuss about innovation and entrepreneurship and the work which we are doing as part of Human Resource Development Ministry. So, I hope you can hear me all, right, sir?
Dr. Abhay, your voice is coming very feeble. Can you just increase the volume, please?
Uh, My volume is highest. There is no way to, in a sense, to increase the volume.
No, you're not audible. You're not very audible.
Hello, am
Yeah,
I
now we can
audible
hear
now?
you. Yeah, now we can.
It's audible very clearly.
Yeah, it's audible. Yeah, it's audible.
Okay. So I would like to actually start by thanking World Hindu Economic Forum for inviting me to this prestigious forum for a webinar. Thank you, Malhotra ji, Ravi ji, Trivedi ji, for coordinating this entire initiative. As Ministry of Human Resource Development, for me, it's a lateral entry kind of a situation where they have hired me from industry directly, and now I'm an additional secretary level person within ministry, and entire innovation related activities of ministry are with me. The reason for this cell or this innovation related initiatives which started with the ministry was Smart India Hackathon. Now, as Malhotra ji rightly said, that Smart India Hackathon has become world's biggest hackathon, and we can proudly claim that we have established world's biggest open innovation model. But considering this COVID crisis, I think education is going to take a very, very different turn. And today's seminar which we are doing should give us opportunity to really think how our education systems will be in the post COVID world, or 2 years from now or 5 years from now, because social distancing is going. So during this entire webinar, I will try to cover various initiatives which we are doing as ministry to look into from a COVID crisis and even beyond COVID crisis. So that's what will be my attempt. And as I will be more than happy to take questions at the end of the session. So as you know that on a yearly basis or annually, WIPO, that is World Patent Organization or Intellectual Property Organization, which is called as, publishes a report on innovation index of our country. And in 2014, our rank, India's rank on innovation index was 81. And in last 5-6 years, because of our efforts, now the rank is 52. So we have jumped substantially, and India is the only country to make such high jumps in innovation index. What this innovation index actually talks about is ability of the country to produce new ideas, to produce good ideas, and ability of the country to actually file patents. But whether this 52 rank does justice to what we are doing or to our ability, real ability, the honest answer is no. Switzerland is the most innovative country in the world. China is currently ranked 12th, and we are 52. And if you see the countries between this 12 to 52, you might see some countries which you would have never heard in your life. Malta, Estonia, Moldova, even Greece, which actually went bankrupt, is is doing better on innovation index than us. So this situation needs to change. And when the new India government came, it's not the second, the first one was 2014. One of the mandate given to us was to ensure that we rise on this innovation index. Even during before 2014, even the data which was used by WIPO was also not very good. So there were multiple problems to it. We are trying to fix those problems, but still 52 is not a good number for us. Another startling fact which I would like to, and it's not a very good fact which I would like to share with audience, is if you really look at 2019 Indian patent data, then in India, China is filing somewhere around 13 lakh patents. US is filing about 6.5 lakh patents. And on contrary, India is filing only 47,000 patents. Out of these 47,000, 70% are by NRIs. So we are not doing very good on intellectual property. And we felt that this needs to change. And we are taking multiple steps actually to change this. But where the real problem is, the real problem is our education system. As you all know, our education system is more like a swallow and vomit kind of a system. It's all marks based, it's all rattabaji, it's all grade based kind of a system. And the way you are evaluated is not the best way to evaluate actual capabilities of human beings. So recently we did a study with Stanford University where they compare 5,000 engineers coming out of India with 5,000 engineers from China and 5,000 engineers from Russia. And when we looked at that data, we were really astonished. Our engineers were performing really very poor when it came to problem solving skills, cognitive skills. The only good thing about that survey was that we start low, but eventually in first or second year of our engineering, we actually try to capture. And the growth which we see in those first or second year is highest as compared to Russia and China. But at the end, ultimately, the competency level of our engineers is not comparable to Chinese and Russian engineers. So this is a very startling study which actually came out. And I think that it should not be surprise to anyone because there are already large number of reports which talk about that 60% or 70% of our engineers are not employable or technology graduates are not employable. And when I say technology graduates, I go beyond engineering. I talk about engineers, I talk about pharmacy, I talk about management, I talk about architecture, hotel management. These are technology as per Indian definition, which are under AICT. So something has to be really done about it. If you really look at our non-technical higher graduates, like conventional science, commerce, arts, the employability drops to as low as 5% to 7%. So this needs to change. So we started thinking how we can change this and whether we can actually get into some kind of interventions. So we said that we will look at 4 different aspects. One aspect is policy intervention, where policies are required, whether we can get in some policies. Second, hand holding of institutions. Because if the culture is wrong, then you need to shift the culture or change the culture. And if you want to do that, we really need to continuously work with those institutions. So hand holding the institutions. Then events like competitions or like grand challenges, hackathons, and so on and so forth. And finally, if you are doing all these things, we need to measure the impact of this. So in last 2.5 years, we have started working on all these 4 buckets, and to some extent, we have been successful. The first is policy. When we started looking at various policies by various institutions, we were surprised. And we were that how an institute can behave like this. you know. And then it was not surprising to know that we are not promoting entrepreneurships. For example, majority of the institutes, if ask if somebody actually does an entrepreneurship from that institute, majority of the institutes ask for revenue sharing ranging from anywhere between 40% to 60%. Even some of the IITs asked for 60%. So if 60% institute निकाल लेगा, 30% income tax निकाल लेगा, तो फिर बचेगा क्या? And there was no enough motivation. Then problem was related to IP, intellectual property. Who owns the intellectual property? I will share with you a story. It's from one of the famous institutes. I will not name that institute. But one student from the institute actually started an entrepreneurship. He started a small e-commerce. In his hostel, he used to work in the evenings and started that firm. When the director of that institute came to know about this, he called that student and he said, "Where is my revenue? And have you signed the document saying that this intellectual property belongs to the institute?" The student said, "Why I should sign that? I have not used any institutional facilities, nor grants, or nothing of that." The director said, "No, you are using institution's internet. So if you are using institution internet, the intellectual property belongs to us." I said, we felt that this needs to change. Our policies need to be extremely innovator friendly. And so we actually recently launched a national framework for innovation and startups for faculty and students. And we have made that framework extremely innovator friendly. We have now put a cap for revenue sharing up to 9.5%. If institute wants to have a stake, they cannot have more than 9.5%. And that too, if they are actually putting an equity into it or funding that as a seed fund. If they are only giving incubation support, then only 3%. If IP of the institute is actually used, then maybe 6%. And then if they are making investments, then up to 9.5%. So we have kept that. Then we tried getting huge clarity in IP sharing. Who owns the IP rights? Then what faculty can do and what faculty cannot do if he is doing his startup, because otherwise it was completely gray. And because of that, dean or director of that institute used to trouble faculty that you are not focusing on your classes and this and that. So now we actually allowed teacher to or a faculty to take a break, use his leaves, or I would take unpaid leaves for many as high as couple of years to focus on the startup, or give 30% of their time to actually go ahead and use for working for startup, and so on and so forth. Similarly, we bought a lot of what we can say incentives for students. Then like apps, like attendance, even skipping a semester. If they are skipping a semester, whether they can actually get credits based on the activities they are doing as part of startup. Because if you are doing your startup and if you are doing business plan development, you are learning a lot. You are putting a lot of efforts. So whether we can use this experience and convert it into credits, then it could be really helpful for students. So we bought that policy, and now we are working very closely with various governors of states to ensure that this policy is adopted by universities. So we are taking a bottom-up approach as well as top-down approach, because governor is the chancellor. So all vice chancellors report into chancellor. So if direction goes from chancellor that you need to implement this policy, so we then vice chancellors take those policies extremely seriously, because it's a policy where institutes get benefited. So there is not a very enthusiasm from institute side or university side to actually look at these policy. But we are using the governor route. So we are getting huge support from Rajasthan government. Then we are getting support from Kiran Bedi ji in Pondicherry. Then we have met governor of Telangana also. And we hope that in next 1 year, all major universities will actually bring laws or amend their rules to ensure that the spirit of this policy gets integrated into these institutions, because it's at the currently it's an enabling framework, it's a guideline which has gone from AICT in UGC to all these institutions, but institutions are autonomous bodies in that. So they have to pass laws and they have to get it approved in their Senate and their governing council. So currently we are doing that. Then another thing which we really realized was, as I was said, culture. Culture is of two aspects. One is the student and his society, and two, the institution's culture. So when we spoke to large number of students, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is
Yes,
it clear? Is it clear?
yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So when we spoke to large number of students, we realized that students want to do entrepreneurship. Students want to get into new ideas, start their startup, but their family was not very supportive. Their society, their environment, or their associate people in their vicinity, relatives were not very supportive. Majority of the parents used to tell these youngsters, why you want to do your own thing, just take a job in some IT industry, have a good salary, and that will make your life better. So when we spoke to these youngsters, many of these youngsters said that, sir, we cannot do it due to our family pressure. So we felt that we need to do something about it also. So last year, on a pilot scale, we have launched a unique program, and we are calling it a normal MBA and PGDM program. But that program is on innovation, entrepreneurship, and venture management. So it's unique in multiple ways. You can take admission as 2 or 3 as group. One. Second, it's only 30% classroom based and 70% incubator based program. And the primary objective of this program is to give a shield to these students who are keen on doing their entrepreneurship. So, if you want to do your entrepreneurship or doing your startup, you can enroll into this program. Under the garb of MBA, you actually do you work on your venture. You get systematic mentoring. If you are successful after 2 years, you graduate as a postgraduate or you graduate as an MBA and a successful entrepreneur. If you fail, you at least have learned large number of or you have learned good amount of entrepreneurship and you end up becoming an entrepreneur. So that you or your parents can tell society that my student or I am doing MBA, but under the garb of that MBA, you actually do entrepreneurship. So we have started this program. We have started it in 4 institutes currently as a pilot, and we got a fairly good response. And now this year, about 25 institutes have applied for this, and the screening will start soon. So, so we are continuously interacting with these students because it's not a conventional MBA program or PGDM program. And what we have realized is that about 50% of the students will end up. This is our feeling based on what we have spoken to them. That 50% of them will end up becoming successful startups. So that is another good initiative which we are trying to do. And this year we will have about Out of this 25, we will end up giving that program to about 15 or odd institutes, and maybe next year we will have far more institutes actually offering this program. So this is also a change which we have got. And the third thing, I was talking about a cultural change in our institutes. So when I spoke to about 50 to 60 vice chancellors, directors of almost all prestigious institutes, except IITs, maybe, or well-meaning people, when we spoke to them, they said, yes, entrepreneurship needs to be promoted. Startup culture needs to be promoted. But they really were not knowing how to go about it. Because many of these vice chancellors or leaders came from very different background. They came from political science background, sociology background, some pure sciences background. And suddenly when they become vice chancellor, they are told, now you should do innovation, now you should do entrepreneurship, now you should start pushing students to start their businesses or do startups. Simply getting lost that how we could go about it. They wanted to do that. And in forum they used to speak about it. But in reality, nothing was happening. So we said, this is a big problem to handle, and whether we can do something about it. And that was the time we conceptualized this IIC, Institutional Innovation Councils. So we created a small council. We said every institute should create a council. And currently 1500 such institutions have created these councils, and about 1100 institutes are actively working with us. So we said these councils should have a person, a faculty, which has some experience in entrepreneurship. Then it should have one legal expert who has expertise in filing patents, or patent attorney or someone there. Then maybe one banker or an investor. Then one alumni of the institute who is a successful businessman. And one person in vicinity from tool rooms, because in large number of cities you have tool rooms. So one person, maybe head or someone from the tool room, so that you start creating that ecosystem of collaboration. And you should create this kind of a council. And every month we will give you activities to do. And you have to follow the norms, what we are going to tell you. And you have to submit how you have done it, what you have done it on our portal. We are going to monitor that. And if you do the activity successfully, we will give you reward points like credit card points, which eventually you can convert. So if IIC does a good activities, then he can that IIC can earn up to 3 or 4 stars out of 5 in a year, which they use for advertising. Because large number of institutes are competing with each other. We have MHRD recognized 3-star IIC, 5-star IIC, 4-star IIC, and so on and so forth. So because of that endorsement which government was giving them, large number of institutes were keen on doing it. So they established the council. And we also were learning in all this, because there is no such program exists anywhere in the world. So we said, okay, till we are establishing our platforms. So in the first month we said, just do one thing. Sensitize 50% of your faculty and 50% of your students on IPR related matters. What is patent? Why patent filing is important? What is PTC filing? What is how Indian patents are filed, and so on and so forth. What is prior art search? What are claims, and so on and so forth. So you do a one-day workshop just to start with. By locally, you should cover these 4 topics, and centrally using Facebook Live, we will do these 2 or 3 topics. So we did that, and we got fairly good response. We got all the data. Then next month, we said that you need to do again a 1-day or a 2-day workshop on design thinking, critical thinking. Because as you might remember, I had said that our students are not very good at problem solving. So first is how to identify a problem, how to visualize a problem. Once you have identified a problem, how to visualize a solution for that problem. The 360-degree analysis of the problem and the user who has that problem. It has all empathy, falana dhikna. So design thinking is extremely critical. So we said you need to do a 2-day workshop to train your faculty and your students on design thinking and critical thinking. And again, we gave them that these you need to cover locally. These one or two topics we will cover centrally. So why locally? Because then they actually start people, they start collaborating. And centrally, because sometime in remote places, you don't really may not have great experts. So we are based out of Delhi or Pune. So we can actually get some real good experts, talk to them about case studies and so on to sensitize that why design thinking is extremely important. So we did that. And and we believe that if we can create these youngsters or convert these youngsters into problem solvers, then we can create thousands of islands of innovations in this country, which is really required if you have to emerge as $5 trillion economy, which our Prime Minister is talking about. We have to emerge as a global innovation hub. And if we have to emerge as a global innovation hub, then educational institutes need to play a very pivotal role. If you really look at US ecosystem, then large number of breakthroughs are coming from Harvard, they're coming from Stanford, MIT, Berkeley, Caltech, where these institutions are creating the intellectual property. This can happen also in India. And if we want to create such 1,000 institutes, then we felt that we need to actually go ahead and handhold these institutes and youngsters in these institutes. Because I don't know how many of you will be aware that at any given time point in India, we have 80 lakh students, 80 lakh students who are just doing technology. And each student has to do a 6 months project in his 3 years or 4 years of his academic course. So if you do back of the envelope calculation, the amount of energy which gets invested is somewhere between 5 to 10 lakh person years per year. It's time required for human evolution. But what happens? Only copy pasting happens, Control C, Control V, and all this energy goes down the drain. Some students are really keen on doing right kind of projects or good projects. They end up either doing theoretical projects, and some students who are sensitized towards the needs of the society, they actually end up doing projects which are socially or market relevant. But majority students actually consider this as an opportunity to get a grade and move on. So we said whether we can capitalize on some of these aspects. So in the third month, after 2 workshops, when we got comfortable with them, they got comfortable with us, we said that now you need to visit any of the 4 institutions. It could be 300-bed hospital, it could be a power plant or any energy unit, it could be an agriculture university, or it could be a food processing unit. You can visit any other places also, but these are the 4 which we recommended based on India's need. And we told the students that you need to sit there for just 2 days and observe and identify the problems which you see there in these 4 institutions. Just write down the problems. Every student will observe and will create his own list of problem statements. Then come back to the institution or college, look at the problem statements given or identified by all, prioritize the problem statements and identify maybe top 10 or top 15 kind of such problem statements. Next month, that is 4th month, based on those problem statements, do an idea competition. Because if you see, there is no culture of idea competitions in our institutions. People do tech fest. People do some projects and then they showcase their projects here and there. But there is no idea competition in real sense where you push youngsters to think wide, to think out of box through a competition. And so we said, let's once you have identified those problem statements, let's push it and do an idea competition. Once you have ideas, good ideas coming out of it, then you need to convert those ideas into prototypes. So, because you need to convert it into proof of concepts, no? Prototypes, proof of concept. So, at that time, we said you have to do something like an IPL. And every student needs to pitch why he needs to be part of the team developing that idea into a prototype or converting that idea into a prototype. So, we did that. The success of this pitching was not so great, to be very honest with you all. We have rectified it this year because we have also learned a lot in the entire process. But last year, we said, once you have developed these prototypes, you have to share those concepts with us. And we got about 1600 such concepts because we asked that only top 2 concepts or top 3 concepts from each college we are going to take. We are not going to take all 10, 15, 20. You have to identify your top 2 or top 3 and share with us. So we got about 1600 such concepts. And at central level, we started looking at some of these concepts, actually filtering them out. And at the end of third round of filtering, we could identify about, you can say 40 to 43 concepts, which were really okay, which were really good. I wouldn't say very good, but which were good. And out of this, maybe about 7 or 8 were really wow. Yes, they are good. They have real good future. So we started from 1600 and we came down to 40, out of which we genuinely felt that 8 or 10 are really good, which really deserves funding. And we are now supporting. We are supporting 27 of the projects because some of the projects we are not supporting all 43. But about 27, 28 projects we are supporting right now. We are giving, as AICTE, MHRD, we are giving them 10 lakh rupees of seed fund to start with through an incubator. So we are doing that. So what we realized when we started doing all this is that we need far more efforts we have to do on generating good ideas. When people talk about innovation, when people talk about entrepreneurship, people talk about creating facilities like incubation, like venture fund, and so on and so forth. We have more than 400 incubation centers in this country. And I can safely say 70% of incubation centers are 70% empty or underutilized. Means what? It means the pipeline of ventures or pipeline of good ideas is really missing in this country. And that's where we are really focusing on. We are not trying to build any infrastructure. We are saying that we will utilize the infrastructure which is created by DST, which is created by Atal Innovation Mission, which is created by MSME, because MSME has 400, you may not be aware, but MSME has 350 recognized incubators in colleges. And they have funded those incubators. DST has about 110 incubators. So we have the ecosystem in a sense, we have the infrastructure. But we need to focus on creating the pipelines. We need to actually create that culture that innovation has to be celebrated, innovation needs to be taken forward, handhold, appreciated. And for that, we need to work with large number of people. So we are working on that. Another, when we started working with these innovation councils, and what we realized was that professor is himself a biggest problem, or lecturer himself is the biggest problem when it comes to promoting innovation. He is not very keen on doing that. He is end up killing good ideas sometimes. because he is telling, he is not again a bad guy. He's a well-meaning person, but he is telling students that focus on your academics, get good marks, get good grade. Why you want to venture into some of these things? So we felt that we need to train even the teachers. So we started this innovation ambassador program. And currently we are trying to train 6,000 faculties as innovation ambassadors. We have, before this COVID crisis, we actually did 2,300, we have finished. But, and now we are going to go online. So all the modules are, we are in process of converting the online. But now from, we want to train minimum 6,000 innovation ambassadors. And what we are doing when we are doing the innovation ambassador, we are not training one faculty in an institute. We are training at least 4 faculties in an institute. Because if you just train one faculty, then other faculties gang up against that one faculty and ensure that that one faculty is never successful. So we felt that we should create some core group. So we said minimum 4 faculties in institutes we will train, and we will train them for these things like IPR, design thinking, then how to handle the project at a pre-incubation level, what pre-incubation level means, what technology readiness level means, what incubation support means, then how to create a business plan, how to do market research, how to actually pitch. You know, sometimes pitching is itself a important thing. So we started training these faculties, and I hope that once we have these faculties in place in these 1,000+ institutions, then there will be some, what we can say, a concrete or a visible change in the culture. So this is about handholding institutions. When it came to competitions and so on and so forth, we, as I said, Smart India Hackathon has now become world's biggest hackathon. When I started with hackathons, no one in government had even heard the word hackathon. So first year when I started it in 2016, I actually went from office to office saying that, explaining what hackathon word means. And now you see there are n number of hackathons happening. Every state is doing, cities are doing, NGOs are doing. So we can proudly say that we have kick-started this hackathon culture in this country. And when we spoke to students, they large, I would say I would have thousands of testimonials we have, where students have said that what they learned during this process of Smart India Hackathon, they didn't learn in their 3 years or 4 years of their graduation. So, and our approach was very simple. Let's try to solve the problems which need to be solved. So what we did was that we went to all the central government ministries, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Road Transport, ISRO, DAE, Department of Atomic Energy, Rural Development, Urban Development, Ministry of External Affairs, Airport Authority, and we said, can you give us your top 10 problems which you think need to be solved? So we, first year we collected about such 600 problem statements, and we actually used this 600 problem statements to challenge students. First year we had participation of about 42,000 students from about 1,300 institutions. Next year state governments also joined us. So that participation of students went to about 1,10,000 and institutions about 1,600 institutions. Then we had industry joining in the third edition, and we had about 2 lakh plus participation. And this year we had 4,60,000 participation. Grand finale has to yet to happen, but we had about 358 problem statements. But in second year we did a very interesting thing, because when people talk about hackathon, people think of software problems, but large number of our youngsters are doing hardware also. So we said that we will do something, a unique model. So we got inspired from this TV program, Big Boss. I don't know how many of you have seen. I have not seen a single episode, believe me, but I know what goes on there. That some bunch of people are put into house and the entire program goes around their tantrums. So we said, can we identify 15 to 20 workshops and identify students with great ideas and put them into these workshops for 5 days or 6 days. They have to eat there, sleep there, they will get whatever they want in these workshops. They cannot come out of this workshop, but they have to go in with a concept or a 1.0 kind of a product. POC has to be ready before, and they have to go back and come up with a 2.0 or a much refined version of that. And we said we will give you all the mentors. For example, if you have a product and if you want to do ergonomics, product engineering, product designing, because if you see the products coming from India, they're extremely shabby. They are not really looking good. They are not sexy in a sense. But we want products which, and you see the products which come out from China, they're very cute. They may work, they may not work, but they're extremely appealing. So why that flavor is not there in our products? So we need to sensitize large number of our youngsters for product engineering, product designing, ergonomics, miniaturization. So we said we will give you experts who can help you in some of these things. And now about 27 startups are coming out of these hardware edition, which we are trying to do. So these kind of efforts we are certainly doing, and employability of students have gone up fourfold. So students who have participated in Smart India Hackathon, large number of students have told us that initially if they were getting zero offer or one offer, now the same students are getting 3 or 4 offers from private organizations. So their employability has gone up, at least for the students who are participating in it. There is undoubtedly a screening process which is there, but because we simply cannot handle. So last year when we did our grand finale, we had around 11,000 students working non-stop for 36 hours across 48 different cities in India. So the scale is humongous. You simply cannot match the scale, and managing that scale becomes sometimes very difficult. So this is the third initiative. And a final initiative I will just take and complete in a couple of minutes so that we can then get into question and answer sessions, is analysis. How to measure this? So we have recently started Atal Innovation Ranking, ARIA, where we are measuring. We have developed a very unique framework. No such framework globally exists to measure the innovation index of an educational institute. So we have developed that. The first rank last year was announced. The prizes were given by Honorable President Kovind. Then this year, in next couple of weeks, we are going to announce our second round of ranking for 2020. So we have now started analyzing, and because of that, we believe that large number of institutes will help create that culture. So we are asking questions like how many startups you have, how much faculty or how your faculty is involved in startups, how many of them have DIN number and SIN number, and how many of them are on the board of startups, and so on and so forth. How much angel investments you have bought as a college into some of these startups. These kind of questions we are trying to ask these educational institutes. Currently, for ARIA 2020, we had participation about 840 institutes or so, which is still not very great, I would say. I would like to see participation about 1800 minimum institutes, which are premier institutes, which have some data to talk about. But we are in that direction. So this is broadly what we are doing. And when it comes to post-COVID or a COVID crisis, because that's where we are here, there are two very good initiatives which we are doing, and I would like to share that. Because as you are aware, everything is moving digital. Before COVID crisis, also MHRD had 32 channels, Swayam Prabha channels, dedicated to education, but no one was aware about it. Those channels are free channels available on free dish. So if you take free dish, those channels will be there. But hardly anyone used to see those channels. Then we have Swayam platform, which is a MOOCs kind of a platform. But that is quite getting good recognition. We have more than 1.3 crore users on that MOOC platform. It was before COVID, I am talking about. So it was another interesting initiative which we did, And again, it was before COVID. Because we are knowing, we were aware, COVID is giving impetus to digital education. But the, the path was very clear that yes, the future is digital platforms. So we started with a very unique scheme called as NEAT, NEAT, National Education Alliance on Technology. So you see large number of these edtech startups which are there, you know, and these startups are doing some phenomenal jobs, Upgrad, Baiju, and those kind of people. huh? And they have platforms which are based on personalized learning or adaptive learning. When you say personalized learning means what? The actually software looks into the ability and the competency or the knowledge capability or knowledge level of that person or the student and tailors the program or teaching methodology according to it. So it's a personalized learning or adaptive learning. It adapts itself based on machine learning. So large number of these startups used to come to us and say that, sir, we would like to partner with you. But because government, we are a government, we cannot partner with them. Otherwise, we will have large number of RTIs saying that, boss, आपने इससे partner किया, उससे इससे पैसा खाया, उससे पैसा खाया. So we said we need to do something about it. Because on one side, we had these great products. But the other side, these products or these edtech companies were struggling to get customers because nobody was ready to rely on them. And many of them, these companies were in trouble. Actually, we could even close down. We felt that. So we said we will partner with some of them. So we put out a big advertisement. We conceptualized this NEAT scheme, and we said that if we partner with you, we will help you sell. We will endorse your product as MHRD verified or AICT verified product. We will endorse it, and we will help you sell. But if we help you sell, then 25% of the sales which we give you, you should give it as free seats or for free, which we will distribute in lower socio-eco strata. So you can charge whatever you want, we told these companies. But if you get 100 customers because of us, then you have to give 25 customers to us free or 25 licenses to us free, which we will distribute in lower socio-eco strata. So we launched this scheme on in Jan 12th, our Swami Vivekanand ji's birth anniversary. And we had about 15 companies on board, about 29-30 products. And when this COVID crisis came, large number of these companies which we had endorsed said that for during this crisis, we will open these products for free for if they register through you, through AICD. And currently, we have 70,000 such registrations, and students have taken use or started making use of these products because of this COVID crisis. So it was a huge customer acquisition for these companies. And now on 70, they are again going to give us 25% free, which I think next week we will get that, and we will give those licenses in lower socio-eco strata for students in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, in a remote level, where they would have never dreamt of using such a tool. And we are going to give them that. Apart from that, to promote innovation and entrepreneurship, during this COVID crisis, we did two idea competition, major idea competitions. One is Ideathon, for which we got about 5,500 entries. And the second one is Samadhan, again, the second round, where we got 3,500 entries. We have already got some real good products, and we will be funding some of those products. I am continuously in touch with the Principal Scientific Advisor, Dr. Vijay Raghavan, his office. Some technologies which we are getting in EdTech and beyond EdTech also, because healthcare is a big area. Education is a very big area where we require innovation, because this COVID crisis has put in front of us the problems which are completely unprecedented, never seen before. So you have to do exercise, you have to keep yourself fit, you have to manage your business, you have to get into a lot of digital transformation, you have to manage your health, you have to manage your education, and so on and so forth. So these kind of products we are getting. I am actually sharing with the Prime Minister's office or PS's office, to be very honest or precise, and we are exploring how we can help and support them. So these kind of things which we are doing as Ministry of Education or Ministry of Human Resource Development, and I can be very happy to take questions from uh, your viewers.
Thank you, Dr. Abhay. It was indeed insightful. And as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, I always wondered that, I mean, people are talking about jobs not being there, but then we have jobs, but where is the employable youth? So this was the question we always had, and I'm sure this will be echoed by all the entrepreneurs who are present here as a viewer. Frankly, we have jobs in our organization, but then we are also searching the youth, and it's very hard to find the youth that can be employed. So
Right.
thank you for giving us insight, and I'm sure that ministry is working and that aspect and trying to create employable youth by integrated approach. So it's really heartening to note that. And now we will move towards the question and answer session. So I'll take up the first question.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
How to improve at the grassroots level in school, creating a strong platform for innovation in the future. Are there any support resources available from the HRD ministry at school level?
So yes and no. To be very honest with you, see. At school level, large amount of efforts are happening through Niti Aayog. You have heard of Atal Innovation Mission, which is which this government conceptualized, and now through this Atal Innovation Mission, large number of tinkering labs have started in school. Because if you want to ensure that good ideas of school kids need to be nurtured and taken forward, we need to give them those opportunities and facilities. So in remote places, still the tinkering labs are not there. I certainly, and that's the reason one of the things I said no. But what we are doing through our trainings, that we are sensitizing large number of teachers that good ideas needs to be celebrated, handhold, and taken forward. So please don't kill good idea, because teacher in school is the one person who starts killing the good ideas. So first, that sensitization is very, very critical. Apart from that, as ministry, we are appealing large number of corporates to get into school hackathons, one, and as well as establish these tinkering labs in schools. So many corporates have started as a part of their CSR activity, establishing tinkering labs in some of the schools. Many of the people on this World Hindu Forum are businessmen. I will also request you all to identify some schools in remote areas and explore the possibility of creating a tinkering lab. It may not be very dedicated to a particular school, but it can be used by 3 or 5 or 7 schools, like a cluster kind of an approach. Even you can certainly think of doing that. Then, as far as syllabus are concerned, we are trying to bring in stories of innovators. For example, currently I am doing a leadership talk series. And 2 days back, I did a leadership talk with, I don't know again whether you are aware of him, Yashraj Bharadwaj. Those are twins. They are just 20 years old, and currently they are employing about, they are first generation entrepreneurs. They are employing around 375 people, even many PhDs also they are employing with offices across. So their headquarters is in Dubai. They are basically from Delhi, but Dubai, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Delhi, Bombay, and their claim to fame was that they actually sold their first patent to a US company and from India for $1 million when they were in 8th standard.
Okay.
And so we put right kind of role models in front of these youngsters, and we through the syllabus and things like that we are trying to do. Whether we have achieved it, to be very honest, no. Huh? We are still long way to go. But yes, we know where the problem is now, and we have started taking steps in that direction. So that is one. Second, soon, next year, you will see that happening. We are going to train each and every student in higher education. I know this question was related to school education, but for higher education on design thinking cognitive skills. So it will be a mandatory 30 hours book on Swayam, which every student has to do in his entire, in his 1 year of, he can do whenever he wants, and he will get 3 credits for it. But because what we all see is that our youth is problem creator, or is part of the problem, not part of the solution, you know. So we need to train our youth, and we need to teach him that you need to be part of the solution. You have to always find solutions to problems, and that can only happen if we sensitize him that you need to do that, because currently youth is looking at government or looking at others to solve their problems, and then so that mindset needs to change. So we are also getting into that, but the
Okay.
scale of this nation is so huge. So sometimes it takes huge amount of time to just see those results, you know.
Okay. Our next question is from Mr. Vineet Rastogi. Research in all healthcare world and all its disciplines needs to up its game. I bring you the representation from the healthcare and allied industry. How does the ministry facilitate the academia industry collaboration? Who to connect with?
So there are multiple ways. I don't know. Again, this industry academia connection or this collaboration is very serious from a government perspective. Last week I was talking to member Niti Ayog, Dr. Saraswat, Padma Shri or Padma Bhushan, Dr. V.K. Saraswat. Uh, and he said that Abhay, I will consider myself successful only and only when I will able to remove distrust between industry and academia. So we need to really work on that. But there are multiple schemes which are currently there where industry can collaborate with academia, and government is actually coming up with some kind of a grant even to industry. Okay. For example, because you are in care industry, there is a huge a grant or a funding from BIRAC or DBT, Department of Biotechnology. They have a Section 8 company called as BIRAC, BIRAC, and they have 2 or 3 schemes like big BIG, big grant, or BIPP grant, and they give in BIPP grant, they can fund as high as 5 crores, 6 crores. Even I am recipient of couple of big grants before joining the ministry. And believe me, it was completely on merit. I was not knowing anyone there. So we actually did a the proposal that it went through systematic screening, 2 or 3 rounds of screening, and we actually got it. And so it's more like an angel funding. If you fail, and if you can explain that yes, genuinely you have failed, then they actually write off that money also. Okay, so it's a grant. So 50%. So but it's a 50% grant. Means what? If I get a 4 crore, then I need to also ensure that I put in 4 crore. So it's not 100% grant. It's a 50% grant. So this is one which is a very interesting, but up to 25% they can give it for free, because if you don't have, that is a big grant first, which is a seed grant. If you have an idea, just an idea, if you go to an incubator and you apply, and you can get up to 25 lakh rupees to start your project. So they have these 3. So once you get a big grant, then you can go, and if your project is successful and you really require to go to next TRL level, then you can ask for SIPRI, which can go up to couple of crores. If you are done with SIPRI, then you can go to big. It can go as 4 to 6 crores, 8 crores. You know, that is there. Then there is another very big grant, is called as a TDB, Technology Development Board from DST. It's a soft loan for scale up or scaling up. So if you have a good project and if you want to scale up, you get grants, and it can again go up from anywhere between 20 crores to 50 crores for TDB. You get it as a simple interest of 3-4%, I think. And that interest also starts after 2 or 3 years of the expiry of the project. It's a simple interest, 4% simple interest you get. which you have to repay back. They even have an equity option also. Okay, so if they like the project, they can actually waive off that interest and get into equity. So that kind of scheme is also there. Technology Development Board, TIFAC is there, which can fund us 50 from DST. Then from CSR, you have NMITLI kind of fund. So there are funds which are there. Whether there are many, maybe no. But even currently, TDB is not getting good projects to fund actually. You know, so many of the times the money get unutilized or remains unutilized.
Now we have a supplementary question from again Vinitji only. Have you tried incentivizing application-ready research?
Incentivizing application readiness research means what? See, it's very simple. If yeah, for I will tell you. So if you really look at IITs or NITs, what we are saying is that if you have a good idea which has commercial application, then we are allowing the faculty to go ahead and do their startups. Through our startup policy, we are ensuring that they don't shell out large number of equity to the institutions. Because of brand, some of the colleges are they get access to large number of industries. So we are trying to do all these things to ensure that research, new knowledge actually gets eventually converted into something which can create wealth for the nation. You know, so that aspect is already there, and that is the reason now you see large number of products which are getting commercialized from these IITs. Whether it has percolated down to other institutions, maybe no to that extent, but yeah, it will happen in due course of time. For example, I will give you Manipal Institute. It's a private institute. It's doing pretty well. BITS is doing pretty well. VIT, Vellore Institute of Technology, again, they are doing pretty well. They have transferred technology. Amrita University, again a private university, doing really well. Chitkara to some extent is doing quite okay. I would say great, but okay. So some of these institutes are doing well. So once that culture catches up, then I think then Indians are very good at ensuring those things will happen. You know. I hope
Okay.
I have answered your question.
Yeah, I'm sure. Another question is from the name is not very clear, so I leave the name. There is
I see Prabhakar Paransupe has put his hand for pretty long
okay, uh,
time.
but there is no question that I can see that he has
Okay.
raised.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is always a technology gap. Even today, also we are learning old kind of syllabus. There is less focus on practical experience. To bridge a gap, I will suggest to run volunteer or maybe incentive-based program with the help of MSME, enterprise, or universities. Main role of this team is to educate our students, set up syllabus. I feel until and unless we reduce this gap, we won't be able to think beyond. Meanwhile, hackathon and other events will be there to create supporting platform. So, what do you think about this?
I cannot agree more on what he has said, to be very honest with you, and we are doing. So today, AICT has already set up a committee along with CII and BVR Mohan Reddy, ex-NASCOM chairman, is the chairman of that committee to actually look into what kind of courses we are going to. I don't know, again, whether you are aware, but from this year, AICT has started giving recognition to conventional courses in a sense. You know? And we will be only giving recognition to new courses which will have new technologies or based on new technologies. As currently NASCOM has identified nine areas which are very, very relevant, like machine learning, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, then blockchain, 3D printing, robotics. So the courses moving forward, courses on these skills are going to be extremely relevant and will be given approval. So that roadmap is very clear now, and you will start seeing, not maybe a couple of years, even from this year you will start seeing that change happening. Okay,
Okay.
because we are very, very critical about it and very very pushy about it. what we have also realized is, sir, technology is changing very rapidly. Every 3 years, something is changing, So, what we really need to do is to teach youngster how to teach himself or how to learn. If we can actually do that, then if we can give him that skill, then technologies can change, new technologies can come, and he will be capable of adopting himself to new kind of technologies. Okay,
Okay.
so this is very very important. Our new education policy, which we will be bringing, and currently, so I don't know how many of you are aware, but now we are going to break those silos between art, science, and commerce. So now you can do science and music together. So Kasturi Rangan committee has brought in that policy. Last June, July, we actually put that policy in public domain. You will not believe we got more than 1,75,000 suggestions for that policy. So we had a huge team which was just going through these suggestions. Many of these suggestions were based on vested interest, but there were about 8 to 10% suggestions which were really valid and logical. So we have incorporated those suggestions. Now that policy has gone to cabinet, as well as it has gone as soft copy has gone to parliamentary committee on education for their review also, so that eventually their comment. So I hope that the new education policy should be a reality in next quarter or so. But I don't know now because of this COVID crisis what will happen. But that was before the COVID crisis. That was what we were looking into. But if we can teach our students, as I said, how to solve a problem and how to identify a problem and solve it, then I think they will be more adapted to the
Okay.
changing technologies.
Okay. As you know, in the Western world, particularly in the US, they are focusing more on young kids. They are like primary students. They're involving more into coding. So they are providing, there are online portals which teach them how to code, how to make your own games. So our next question is particularly focusing on those young toddlers. And that question is from Mr. Amit. How to improve at the grassroots level in the school, creating a strong platform for innovation in the future. Are there any support resources available from HRD ministry at school level?
So I have already answered this question in terms of what we are trying to do, what Atal Innovation is trying to do. As far as coding is concerned, there are large number of scratch competitions and those kind of things which are already happening. Okay, where students are coding. I will tell you why coding, beyond coding. Uh, Recently, Persistent organized school hackathon, smart school hackathon, and the kind of ideas which we got was were very mind-boggling, and very good. For example, water, how to save a water. Some kids went ahead and designed the tap, you know. We- So it was a very unique tap, so that you can actually fix how much water you want to go through that tap. For example, 2 liters, 3 liters, 5 liters, something of that sort. It was no IoT based tap. It was a simple mechanical tap. And if you put water in a very with some pressure on it, there was a screw which was there inside. So it used to slowly move, and after five, it used to move in such a way that after a stipulated or decided pre amount of water, the screw used to get locked, and the tap used to automatically get closed. It's very very simple, but very innovative. So such kind of ideas are certainly coming from students, and they
Okay.
were some students in the remote place, remote village near Nashik district. You know, so what I want to say is that right ideas can come from anywhere. The only thing that we really need to do is create an enabling platform. Many times, many of these ideas don't really require. They are not huge amount of infrastructure also. India is not so underdeveloped that these infrastructures are not there. It may not be within that school, but if school knows where to go and find it, there are n number of tool rooms, n number of industries around. So what we really need to do is to work on mindset and not on infrastructure. You know,
Okay.
I don't know whether I'm able to communicate with your viewers that once we change the mindset, now you yourselves are entrepreneurs. You know how to handle difficult problems and whom to approach and where to go and how to solve. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, everything may not be there at your disposal right away.
Right.
So, but teacher's mindset is not an entrepreneurial mindset. So we need to actually take him towards that.
Right.
Yeah.
You rightly said mindset change is what is required. Even a mindset change can change the governments, and
Yeah.
we have seen that in India also. Now there are two questions which I'll club them. They are similar in nature. How much percentage of patented field ideas to final product, as it is to be convert in values, it will be celebration and create atmosphere of innovation. This is one part, and the second part is: do you have a data bank where good ideas are patented and stored, and we can see and decide to fund and take it forward?
So yes, I will answer the second question first. So currently, there is one project which has just been initiated about 6 months or a year back, and even I am now initiating a similar project. So the project is called as Agni. It is by Prime Minister's office. It is PSA is heading it, Principal Scientific Advisor to Prime Minister Dr. Vijay Raghwan. He is a very dynamic guy, and he is heading it. So what they are doing is that they are creating a marketplace of all these technologies which are ready for commercialization. Because if you see IITs, NITs, triple ITs, we have more than 40,000 normal institutions, more than 10,000 technical institutions. Even out of which about 200 or 300 are doing good, if you say, out of these 10,000 institutions, you really don't know what is happening in which institute, and if you go to that institute, nobody actually gives you a damn about it because they are into their own world. They don't care about commercialization and so on and so forth. So what Agni or PSA is trying to do under Agni, and then we will be also, because we are from MHRD, we are actually will be helping them, is that collect all the information of commercial technology, commercializable technologies, as well as startups in these institutions, and create a bank out of it. So, for example, if you are looking at technologies in agriculture, you
Hmm.
will find 50. But even if you go to Agni platform right now, there are some. I think there are about 800, 900 technologies which are there, if I understand correctly, or they started with 900 and they ended up with 200 or 300 after scrutinizing it, which you can see on that platform. And you can find a person whom you can contact, what are his requirements. You may see sometime a video of that technology also, which is out there. So we are in process of collecting all that information. Even for Smart India Hackathon, we have collected that information. We will be putting it out in soon.
Okay. So
So
I'll
have I think I have answered that.
yeah, I'm
And
sure.
uh,
Yeah, the first part is remaining. So if you
yeah.
can,
No, the first part is more how many technologies actually get commercialized. That's the ARIA data which we have started getting. Okay,
okay.
so maybe I will able to tell you in maybe a month's time from now. But that how many actually patents are filed and how many of those patents are getting commercialized. To be very
Okay.
honest, but
Okay.
I don't feel even that percentage may not be more than 10%. To be very honest with you,
Okay.
because large number of academicians are filing patents to to not go ahead and sell the technology, but to ensure that their CV is chamakta rahe, that to improve their CV. So
Okay.
and once this patent is filed, they don't go, they don't care about actually approaching or moving forward for commercialization of that. So
Okay.
large number of institutes have started a separate office to explore that possibility.
Okay. Now we have completely run out of time, but this the last
Yes.
question is tempting me. So I'll ask this last question to you, and then we'll let you go. Uh, we noticed that for incubation and center of excellence, that is COE, they are preferring product, and there is no room for services. Should there be a need for services, because services field also has a big range, and we know that it is no, I think, exception that India is more successful on service industry front than the manufacturing one. So
Very
how
true, sir.
that?
So when you are looking at products, see, when these incubators are looking at products, sir, they are looking at ideas. They don't see it like a manufacturing commercial. If if a service industry is there, for example, I will tell you, huh? Zomato or Swiggy. These are service industry at the end of the day, e-commerce service industry. They were incubated by some of the incubators. Initially, actually, they went to IIT Delhi, but I think IIT Delhi never incubated them. But or what they were asking, Zomato people were not ready to give. I don't know exactly what, but something of that sort was there. But these kind of e-commerce or other platforms are certainly there. Large number of incubators have those kind of platforms. So currently, as I said, incubators don't have enough pipeline, so they are actually welcoming everyone and anyone. आ रहा है कुछ करना का चाहता है आ जा कर, that kind of a thing, you know. But I agree with you, and I don't say service industry is an inferior industry, because there could be a lot of innovation in service industry also, because a lot of processes could be innovated, lot of and large number of companies which are doing great, like Infosys, TCS, what they are doing, it's somewhere it's a process innovation which they have done. So
Right.
we should salute these kind of process innovations also.
Mhm. And I'm sure government is heading in right direction, and there will be many more initiatives coming our way, and we will have a lot more opportunities coming up for the entrepreneurs who are keen on contributing to the society and basically the commercial aspect of it. So thank you so much. We completely run out of time. Now
So
I
I
will.
have only one small request, if
Sure.
possible.
Sure.
Uh, so if you really like what we are doing, so I would encourage all of the viewers or all of my listeners here, friends here, colleagues here, to join us. Please join our social media platforms. Please follow us on Twitter or and Facebook. My personal handle is Twitter handle is Abhay Jere, ABHAYJERE, because if you want to build this innovation movement, we cannot shy away from engaging with the society in big way. And you people are the actually torch bearers of the society in a sense, leaders. So we will request you to join us.
Okay. Great. So thank you so much. Now I will invite our secretary Raviji for a vote of thanks and conclude the session. Thank you. Raviji, over to you.
Okay, I'll start. Thank you, Abhayji, for such excellent talk and sharing policy initiative by Government of India to promote innovative mindset in the colleges and institutions. Information shared by you is mind-boggling. It is a dream of most of Indians that our education system should be innovation-oriented, but hardly any work was done before that. Congratulations for being part of such transition. It is revolutionary work for Indian society, and there will be many obstacles as you move. I pray and hope that you will be successful in your effort. Penetration of innovation is very low in our country, and stalwart like you are doing everything to increase it to international level. Thank you for that.
Thank you very
Hopefully,
much, sir.
these trained students in due course of time will become big innovators, entrepreneurs, and run big businesses to take our country out of poverty by creating wealth. Thank you, Shailesh for anchoring and moderating the session and keeping members engaged with question answer. Thank you, Sanjeev ji, for introduction. Thank you, office bearers, for all the cooperation that you have given. I have one small announcement that on 26th, Devendra Fadnavis ji lecture has been preponed to 3 p.m. from 5 p.m. Rest all programs on 28th as well as 30th. 30th we have got Satish Marathi ji at 3 p.m. On 28th we have at 5 p.m. So thank you all for participating and making it successful. So thank you all.
Thank you.
With this we will finish it. Thanks.
Goodbye.